Hello, my name is Jessica Plansich.
And my name is Melody Medley.
And welcome. You have joined us for a free preview call called Is Your Quest for Beauty Killing You? And the top 5 reasons women are at war in the skin they're in and how to break free. Welcome. We're so glad that you joined us. We have so much to share. And so sit down, have a cup of tea, and settle in because we are going to get started right away. So a little bit about why we decided to do this. Between the two of us, we have over 30 years of experience between being a psychotherapist and a fashion designer. And we've obviously lived in our own skin for lots more time than that. And we have seen women of all ages, all walks of life, struggle to live in their skin in a harmonious way. And with the cosmetics industry and the diet industry being an $11 billion industry each, with young women deciding to opt for cosmetic surgery as early as 11 and 12 years old, something is really amiss here. And we've listened to your cries and the shame and the discomfort. And we wanted to provide a forum to talk about it openly, safely, and really get to the bottom of things and share what we've learned along the way with you.
So you know you're in the right place if you've struggled with body image issues, if you've tried everything from crash diets to cosmetic surgery and still don't feel beautiful. Most importantly, if you're walking around feeling shame about it, if you're feeling alone.
Yeah, so true. So you don't have to feel that way anymore. And so a little bit about what we're going to cover today. The reason why your self-help strategies aren't getting to the bottom of things. The real impact of body betrayal, what that really does to your body and your psyche and your emotions and how you show up in the world. Despite our best intentions, why we derail from them and how that makes us feel. This falsehood, this idea of lack of time and overwhelm that goes with it. And then there'll be a little hook for you to stay to the very end, because we'll cover the number one reason that we're at war in the skin that we're in, and the thing that you can do about it right now to feel more comfortable.
Yes.
So we're going to talk about some really practical strategies too, not just the why, but the how of overcoming these things. So stick with us to the end, and we're going to be sharing with you an opportunity for a continuing education program we'd really like to share with you. And so stick with us so that you can deepen this journey of the art of radical radiance. So, we also felt like it was going to be helpful for you to know a little bit about who we are and what brought us to this point and why we feel compelled to share our story with you.
Well, first I'd like to say that this is a very new experience for me. I'm just going to be honest here. I'm really uncomfortable in front of a camera, but I feel so compelled to speak to this topic because it's been a game changer for me. But just to get back to my story and where I came from, I've been in the fashion industry and I've been making women's apparel for the last 14 years. And during that time, I've encountered hundreds, if not thousands, of women and dressed them and heard many complaints about their body image. And even though I completely embrace the diversity of beauty in women, I still find myself subscribing to what media portrays as beautiful. I've compared myself to that and have felt not enough. And when I think back I think that feeling of not enoughness came way earlier in life as a child, when I adopted this, what I call the perfectionism sickness of feeling like if I'm not perfect, then I'm not good enough. As a kid, that looked like wanting to be an A student and being an achiever. And then as I became an adolescent, it was important for me to be pretty and to be slender, so that boys liked me. And into my adulthood, that led me into a long, sort of drawn out struggle with these beliefs that I had about my worthiness equating to my beauty. And that led to many diets, and I struggled with just overeating from anxiety. And when I'm trying to conform into this body that looks good in a photo shoot, it's really quite a struggle. At one point, it even led me, I traded my food addiction for a drug addiction to methamphetamine so that I could stay thin. And meanwhile, I'm leading a life of promoting health and beauty and not really feeling all that healthy or beautiful inside. And I hit a wall, and there was a turning point for me, and I felt like it's really time to see what's underneath all of that. And this last year has been really profound for me. I've done a lot of work with Jessica as a friend and as a life coach, and felt very inspired to uncover what it is that drives not only myself, but many women to feel this not enoughness and comparison. And for those of you who haven't read my story yet, I'd have to say that writing and publishing and sharing this information with my community and with all the lovely customers that have entered my life has been one of the most profoundly healing things I've ever done, mostly because I realized that I'm not alone and that sharing has impacted other people, and that's really given me a newfound sense of value and worth and pride in a way that's not egoic, but in a way that's really meaningful and in a way that's really feeding my soul. By the way, that was not what I wrote to share with you at all, but that's what came from the heart.
Oh,
you know, I'd written all this down, but there you go.
You're so brave. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I know what a private person you are, and I just applaud you so sincerely for being willing to share so openly, so much heart and love.
Thank you, Jess. I just wanted to amend that with, I really just feel tired of those feelings robbing me of my happiness. I have so much to be grateful for in my life, and I really just want to celebrate it. And that's why I feel like this work is so important, because to have some tools and to have some support is just what the doctor ordered.
Well, much like you, my quest for perfection led me down a slightly different road, but nevertheless down a road that was incredibly taxing on my life. I was the classic overachiever growing up, and really prided myself on, having the perfect hair while I did it. Playing sports and getting dirty while smiling. And, you know, got the great grades, got into the great school, climbed the ladder at work, was making six figures in my mid-20s, working over 60 hours a week. But it was false. You know, it was propped up by caffeine. It was slowed down by alcohol just to settle down. My feet were a mess through cramming them in shoes that were sexy but totally terrible for my body. I was at the gym at 6 o'clock in the morning, no matter what. I totally didn't abide by my body's rhythms. I was unsustainably pumping out energy, and thank God, in the nick of time, I had some major intervention. A divorce came when I was in my late 20s, and it brought me to my knees. I didn't expect it. And being a divorced marriage and family therapist is a blow to the ego, to say the least. And I went on a really deep and profound journey of peeling back the layers. So even though I had been helping people as well, I knew that there was a much deeper place for me to access, a deeper place for me to serve from. And I needed to get down to what was really real. And I had a lot of teachers and phenomenal people along the way to support me, to be able to have any leg to stand on right now and share any of this with you. It's not because I read it in a book. It's not because someone told me. It's because I've lived it. And I've helped, I'd say helped, I've been there as a friend, as a place of safety for a lot of people, a lot of women, maybe just like you, who can relate to a story just like this. And so that's why we're here, and hope that some of that really resonated with you. And hope that you'll stick around, because now we're going to get to the actual content of what we came here for. So we're going to switch over to a PowerPoint, and we're going to talk over it. So stay with us. We're going to a little technical switcheroo here. Just a moment. Okay. So here we go. Is your quest for beauty killing you? The top 5 reasons women are at war in the skin they're in, and how to break free. All right, our top number 5 reason is because your self-help strategies aren't getting to the bottom of things.
Yeah, I can certainly relate to this. I mean, I've done a lot of work. I've done a lot of research and reading, and I've sought professionals. I feel like I have a lot of wisdom under my belt about health and nutrition, and yet I still find myself reverting to the same patterns. It's not because I'm not trying. I'm trying really hard, so what gives?
Well, I'd say that underneath it, you're perceiving that there's actually something wrong with you. That who you are and the skin you came in and size of your bones and the size of your hips is inherently flawed. And that's a real, I'd say, epidemic in our culture. We've conformed to these externalized ideas of beauty over time. And we like to show you just a few slides of what that's looked like. So at the top, you can see these figurines, these beautiful busty Venus figurines They're prehistoric statuettes that came from the Paleolithic times, somewhere between 30,000 and 10,000 BC. And they were some of the first signs of creative workmanship and figurative art. It was the female form that was actually glorified. And next to it, you see the three graces, these ancient Greek divine women of beauty, grace, artistic inspiration, very voluptuous. Next to it, sorry about that. Next to it, you see this voluptuous Egyptian goddess with her full hips. And below that, you'll see in the corner Marie Antoinette. She was in the 1700s, and you can see her very busty and very full. You can see some of the differences that are happening here. And then this trend of corseting and this 18-inch waist to this beautiful, busty, curvaceous woman in the 1800s here in the corner. So we've seen a major spectrum of beauty. It's influenced by socio-political, cultural, religious, environmental, and now even technological influences on our ideas of beauty. We even see this popular iconography in children's lore, from Snow White to pinup girls to bikini models. So I guess our question is, what influences you? Really take a minute to ponder that. And at the end of the day, we're still trying to conform and are susceptible to media, consumerism-driven ideas of beauty. And really the $11 billion diet, fashion, and self-help industry wins because they're capitalizing on your sense of inadequacy, our sense of inadequacy, and fear at the end of the day. And really, we are looking, so I guess I should stop there and say, what's the solution? The solution is that we need to stop chasing these outsourced ideas that are capitalizing on your insecurity so that you can address the real insecurity that's beneath it. We tend to only opt for the low-hanging fruit, the solutions that we think are the problem. But we don't wind up addressing the stuff that really matters, what's really below it. Melody, I think you could probably relate to this as far as this course is concerned, right?
Sure. Well, when you say low-hanging fruit, we're talking about, going and getting your hair done, or those quick fixes that will leave you feeling prettier temporarily. Is that what you're speaking to?
Or like a crash diet. Like you think that it's actually your weight that's the problem. And so you go towards losing 5 pounds or 10 pounds, but is that ever really enough?
No, I've ironically, when I'm at my leanest weight, I kind of look around at women that are in their full bodies and think, oh, they're probably having more fun, enjoying life more.
But, in preparing for this course and all of the work that you've done, what's the great irony that you've noticed here?
Oh, gosh. To be honest, I'm at my heavier weight than I'm accustomed to after the holidays. And at one point I was definitely feeling like, oh no, here we go again, and feeling that sense of loss of control and wanting to manage it in a way that was external by going on a diet and getting a couple more memberships at random gyms. But honestly, I think the number one thing that's really changed the game for me is doing this work by sharing my bio. I suddenly kind of felt like my urge to eat when I wasn't hungry kind of vanished, like poof, out of thin air. And it was such a relief for me. And I think it must be because I was feeding my soul in a different way, feeding it with something other than food.
Yeah. Actually repairing the hole that's at the bottom of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, moving on. Our second reason, or top 4, is reason you're at war in the skin that you're in: body betrayal. So you, in an attempt to conform to an outside idea of what you think your body should be, meanwhile, you're putting yourself through expensive and costly regimens. And really, your body is believing every word you say. So you're thinking one thing inside, and then you're doing something else on the outside. So even though you may be working out, you may be eating, quote, right, if you're going against your body's natural blueprint, if you're a thick-boned woman, you may never be able to fit into a size 3 jean or 4 jean. Your hips are built a certain way. Your shoulders, you're carried in a certain way. And though you can straighten your curly hair and attempt to fit into these ideas of what these popular cultural ideas of beauty are, at the end of the day, if you're going against your inner truth and subjecting yourself to a barrage of negative commentary, then you are creating a phenomenal amount of stress in your life. You're creating unsustainable goals and behaviors that induce pressure and stress in your life. So again, I think you can really relate to this and have something to share.
Yeah, I've learned a bit about stress and hormones, and really learning to get that there's an absolute mind-body connection between the way to calories in and exercising. It's not nearly as simple as that. The truth is, when you're stressed about your body image, your body produces a hormone called cortisol and also insulin. Cortisol is released when you're in a fight or flight mode. So when you're chronically stressed about your body, you guessed it, cortisol dumps into your bloodstream. And from a biological standpoint, that means it increases your appetite, it increases cravings for simple fuel like sugar and carbohydrates. It also leaves you feeling exhausted and fatigued. And it tells your cells to go into store the fat mode. When you're in fight or flight and you're running for your life in the jungle, running away from tigers, your metabolism needs to slow down because it doesn't know, when the threat is over, and it needs to survive. Our bodies are incredibly smart machines. But beyond that, there's a level of toxicity that happens in the body that taxes your immune system and has this whole other cascade of negative effects on your biology.
Well, when you're being chased by the tiger, it doesn't matter if your skin is dewy and your hair is lush, right? It doesn't matter if you've digested your last meal, because you may be the meal.
That's right.
So things like all of your blood shunts to your major organs, which means things like your memory, your concentration,
digestion,
your skin tone, your digestion, all of these things, your immune system are compromised because you're just looking to get through the threat. And so your body is built to do this on a short-term basis, but when you put yourself in this state of distress around body betrayal, and every time that we go against our inner truth, we are actually inducing that, as if a tiger is chasing us in this chronic way, and it winds up creating major signs of distress. And yeah, it's not pretty.
Well,
Okay.
it kind of defeats the purpose, doesn't it?
Totally. All right. Our next reason is that it's because you're derailing from your intentions. So,
well, I can definitely relate to this one. I've certainly thought I've had the best intentions, and I feel like I know enough about nutrition to know what's good for me. Yet sometimes I still just don't follow through and stick to my plan.
so let me ask you, what was the motivation for that plan? Like, if you got really real with yourself.
To look good for a photo shoot.
Mm-hmm. And why didn't you feel like you looked good enough the way that you were?
Because I wasn't happy with my body.
Mm-hmm. And so may I say that that's probably a sense of insecurity.
Yes, that would be true, Jessica. Thanks for pointing that out once again.
So I guess I'd like to ask all of you out there, what was the last body or beauty centric goal that you created? And what was the motivation for that? Because honestly, in listening to thousands of people over decades now, I've really witnessed in them and in myself that most of our goals and intentions are driven by insecurity, fear, and inadequacy. They come from a sense of not being or feeling enough. And when we create unattainable, fear-driven goals, we set ourselves up for breaking them. And though being fed up can actually drive us to enacting some change, without digging deeper into more life-affirming, sustainable goals, we break our agreements. And each of these broken agreements creates an internal conflict and sets us up for disappointment and further self-deprecation. Like, see, I really can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
See, I'm really not good enough. So the subconscious or the ego is looking for proof that it is actually inadequate and not enough. So what's the solution here? We want you to avoid fear-based and insecurity-based goal setting and find motivation that is sourced from that which supports your life, your lifestyle. And if you find yourself consistently derailing despite this, it may be time to get some more support. Maybe time to get an outside reflection so that you don't keep chasing your tail. And so we'll speak to that a little bit later. All right, on to our next. Too little or too much time for yourself?
So we've made a survey and asked you ladies what it was that really got in the way of you feeling beautiful. And one thing that we heard time and time again is that the lack of time, or perhaps having too much time, obsessing over your beauty.
Yes. So here's a question again for you. How much time do you spend in self-care a day? So here's just a little brain geeky neuroscience thing I'd like to throw in there. That starting with those of you who spend too little time on yourselves, women get some very potent brain feel-good biochemical rewards, I'll say, from doing things that kept us safe and or supported our lives in prehistoric times. Things like gathering, AKA shopping, like sitting around doing crafts and talking, which is why we love socializing and talking today. We get very powerful brain boosts from giving to others and creating community. We are the the creators and the sustainers of life. And yet these are all external factors. These are all, we get things like serotonin and oxytocin from these activities. And yet all of them are externally facing. And the problem with that is that if we're not doing those activities for ourselves that nurture ourselves first, that we wind up overextending to others, or maybe overspending, overgiving. And we kind of are I guess, overdrafting our energetic bank accounts because we're looking to get it back. So we go into a little bit of debt and we give, but it's with a hook. It's not totally free. And people can feel it when it's not free because then they're hesitant to give it and they don't totally trust it. And then we get anxious when it doesn't come back to us in the time or in the way that we want it to. So we need to really examine that and work to, so here's part of the solution again, is taking time for yourself first. There's a reason why when you get on a plane, that in the safety video, they tell you to put the mask on yourself first. I can't tell you before you put it on your child. I can't tell you how many women, when I've asked that question, who do you put the mask on first? They're like, oh, the child. Like, then you're dead. You have nothing to give. Or as my teacher says, you can't give what you don't got. So, and then there's those women who spend too much time on themselves. So the other part of the survey is that they spent upwards of 2 and 3 hours on themselves. And though taking a long, slow, deep practice is a great thing, if you are finding yourself having to spend that much time on a daily basis in order to feel good about yourself, it can become more obsessive and addictive. Don't get me wrong. Those external ways that we look to feel beautiful they still feel great. We're not suggesting here that you stop, wearing melodious clothes. But I think, again, you can speak to this, that you've seen in the fashion industry, women work from the outside in a lot.
Oh, sure. I mean, I've spent decades wearing extremely uncomfortable clothing and corsets and bustiers and things that would conform my body to look more like some of those images you were showing in some of the slides. And then at some point I just was like, you know what, enough's enough. I want to be comfortable and I want my clothing to conform to me, and hallelujah, stretchy pants were born. But I don't want to digress here.
But I think the point is that the outside still does matter.
Oh, absolutely. I think there's something really special when I have the experience of seeing someone put something on and they finally feel comfortable in their clothes. Mm-hmm. The clothing helps them exude what they feel on the inside, on the outside. So there's absolutely some magic to be said there. And I'd have to say that one of my love languages is dressing people and adorning people and having them shine in a way and exude some confidence that they might not have mm-hmm. otherwise found.
I think what you're talking about is an authentic, coherent expression between their internal radiance or their internal essence and their external radiance.
Absolutely.
Right? That they match, that there's mm-hmm. a ding that kind of happens. Whereas the opposite is when someone is constantly trying to wrap themselves up in adornment or these artificial propped up things like we all have. But there's something, and even though the clothing may be beautiful or this hairstyle might be great, there's something kind of lacking, right? A lackluster, desperate look in the eye that isn't quite comfortable in the skin.
Yeah, I think the difference is when you're painting yourself to be something that you feel like you're really not, for a reason that doesn't really support you showing up in the world as you feel you really want to.
Yeah. Because when
or as you feel that you really are.
Mm-hmm. Because when it's authentic and when it really nails it, then things are aligning. And when you feel good on the inside, you radiate that to the outside. When you radiate outside, then you're going to feel you're available to serve the world in a way that is owning that this skin that you came in is here to support you for your mission and your purpose. And that's really what we're talking about here is not just so that you can prance around and be beautiful. It's because when these things are aligned, you're more available to the world. You're more available to love. You're more available to share your gifts. So what's the solution here? I really want to be an advocate for slowing down and starting with 15 minutes a day, just for you, undistracted, because honestly, a lot of these externalized efforts are a distraction from looking at what's really beneath. And I know a lot of people have problems with meditation and getting quiet, and that's really understandable in the beginning. But stick with it. And again, you don't have to struggle with this alone. There is support for you. So that's what we're going to get into next. So stay tuned, because we're going to come back in just a moment to the number one reason that you are at war in the skin that you're in, and the number one thing that you can do right now to start feeling more comfortable. So let's just talk a little bit about why you aren't doing this right now. And it's because the demands of life creep in and leave you with very little at the end of the day when you're totally tapped and spent, and that interfere with your best made intentions to take good care of yourself. You're not doing this because even though you know that the media feeds you unrealistic, airbrushed versions of reality, that you still into comparison.
Oh, you know, I relate to that one.
It's actually the number one thing that women in our survey cited as they're feeling beautiful more often is that sense of comparison and competition with other women. And it really undermines our ability to support one another. It's because you're over giving to others with the hope that their love and appreciation will come back to you and fill up your cup. I think we're all guilty of that if we really got honest. You're not taking your beauty into your own hands because despite the efforts that you've made to make peace with women in your life, there's a subtle sense, again, of competition and nastiness. It's that
the comparison and the trying to step over one another
and outshine one another, as if there isn't enough space in the world for all of us. Yeah. And it's because even though you've done some personal work to clear up old wounds and early childhood pains, you still can't shake that not enough feeling. It's like this haunting, aching sense.
Don't I know it for the last few decades?
Yeah. Eloquently. So the question is, are you ready to liberate your real eternal beauty? And why is this important? Why are we even talking about this? Like I said, it's because you can't give what you don't got, and it's time to put yourself first and make yourself a foremost priority and stop resenting that you don't have time for yourself and don't receive enough appreciation for all that you do. Like we can't afford this anymore. You want to be able to give to the world, you have to come from a full and solid place first. It's important because shameless, raw, wild embodiment of beauty is one of women's greatest untapped powers.
And one of their greatest gifts,
right?
To inspire others to do the same.
It's the muse, right? It's that I don't know, I don't really have a word for it. It's that inside that.
Are you growling?
Yeah. I think it's one of the reasons like we terrify men so much. It's because we can really tap into that ineffable, untouchable magic. And we want you to do the same thing. It's important because we want you to save time and money on solutions that stop wasting your time and money on solutions that overpromise and underdeliver, and tap into a more eternal wellspring of health and beauty. We're talking about practical solutions that you can enact right now to make a major difference. It's important because it's time to make better choices about how to eat, exercise, and style yourself in ways that flatter your true assets and showcase your strengths.
I like that one.
I call your pants Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants because they have this magical way of like making everyone's butt look amazing. I don't know how you did it, girl, but you nailed it. And lastly, it's really time to lead your world with fierce grace. You know, we are here for such a short amount of time. It goes so quickly. And though our struggles with our bodies and our image is definitely something to address, it's time for it not to hold us up anymore.
And I really don't want our youth, our next generation, or any more women for that matter, to lose on precious time in being happy and celebrating the precious life that we have right now, because we're so wrapped up in what we aren't, and to just start celebrating what we are.
Yeah. So we decided to create something around this and take it to the next step. We call it Unconditional Beauty School. It's the art of radical radiance from the inside out. So starting on February 4th, we will be entering a 6-week journey and invite you to join us for 6 video webinars with Melodia and I, and access to recorded modules. So even if you can't attend them live, a private Q&A group session to address your most burning questions, 6 recorded meditations to support the coursework, as well as handouts, weekly homework assignments to keep you on track and accountable. And also an attempt to really build a sense of community and connection, a private Facebook group with other women just like you, with support from the 2 of us to help you stay on track.
I look forward to being in contact with everyone during that time.
Yeah, really juicy. I know that this is small, but hopefully you can scroll in and see that this is what you can expect from this program. Really practical, solid, sound skills to address the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual realms. It's time to not just clear that which is in the way, but to learn new tools to bring it into your daily life. It's got to be applied. It's got to work, and it's got to work for you if it's going to stick. So we're going to help address each of these 4 realms, and so that these strategies last for you, not just while you're in the course, but hopefully for the rest of your life. So, and as a special bonus,
I love this part. So I've had the fun of co-creating a circle scarf. It's made out of organic materials, super yummy and cozy to the touch. And the photograph that you see here isn't quite the one that we've made. We actually silk screened our Cliff's Notes manifesto of the course curriculum on the scarf in an artful way, so that if you're ever having a moment of needing to refresh your thoughts and your state of mind, you can just look down at your scarf and and remind yourself of how beautiful you really are, or whichever manifesto that you choose to read. We'll have photos of this posted up shortly, but yes, they're being silk screened right now as we speak.
And tea stained, love stained by Melodia herself. It's really special. We wanted to create something that was wearable, that was a more embodied reminder, and not just cyber world or you to
have
wearable art,
a fashionable and tactile experience.
Exactly. So let's just talk about the value of this. And first, I gotta say, I gotta out myself first and say that historically this has been really uncomfortable for me. I've avoided sharing things in a webinar format because honestly, I've felt like there's a lot of gimmicks, that there's these like puffed up value statements, and it just felt kind of sticky and I don't know, like lacked some integrity to me. So I have waited as long as I have to share this in a larger way because I wanted it to come from the most authentic place that I could access. And so here's just the facts. This is not puffed up time. I actually did a calculator with this stuff. And this is not inflated, that this amount of time with me would cost $2,500. This amount of time with Melodia to do personal styling and consultation would be $1,500. The value of these meditations when I'm hired privately is $500. And the retail value of this very limited edition scarf that has been created just for this course is $75. And, I can't even put a measurement on the impact that this can have along the course of your lifetime. But the hardcore number is that this is a $4,600 value. And we want to make this accessible to you in a way that wherever you're living or whatever your financial situation may be, that doesn't stop you. So we're making it available to you, for you early birds, at a 40% discount and an investment of $349 for the next 72 hours. So you can go to unconditionalbeautyschool.com to register and for more details. But the course starts in a few short weeks. So we hope you'll really join us. We've really put a lot into this so that you get really maximum value. Some people aren't as inclined to do one-on-one work. Other people are, far away. And you really get the synergy of the group magic. And just like Melodia was talking about, you'll get a sense of not being alone, as well as, most importantly, these really practical, grounded strategies for embodying radical radiance now and hopefully forevermore.
I think the quality of relatedness that comes from sharing in a group is really precious. So this leads us.
Oh, wait, one more thing.
Oh, yes. Sorry.
We really stand by this, by the way. And I've personally helped thousands of women just like you to the next level of expression in the world. They're time tested. They're proven strategies that I've distilled down to the most potent gems to get you unstuck and on the road to lasting shift. We really, really stand by this offer, and because it's worked. And we're so confident that you're going to give such massive value from this that we want you to feel amazing about this investment and in yourself. So we're going to take the risk and say that if after 2 weeks of the program you're dissatisfied, let us know and we'll refund your money. We want you to be happy.
That's a win-win situation.
Totally.
Okay, so that was a lot of information, and I'm still just so eager to find out what the last and final crown jewel of wisdom you have to share with us. what would that be?
Okay, so here we go. The top reason that we are at war in the skin that we're in is because of rigid, demanding expectations of ourselves. Really take that in for a minute. Get honest. We really put more pressure on ourselves than anyone else. And if they go unchecked, we wind up enslaved to externalize ideas of beauty, our lifestyle choices, and how we show up in the world. We look to others to know ourselves, and though the mirror is helpful, it can flux with where you're at that day. And you're getting a reflection from other valuable humans. And if you don't really get below that, if you don't check that, you wind up frustrated and you compromise your deeper truth. And this really can distract from your purpose in the world, that sense of rigidity. And, let's just be real. We weren't given an owner's manual for how to operate this machine, and yet we expect these levels of excellence. Or on the other side, we relegate to self-pity and shame, and then we check out, and then we don't even play the game. So there's some extremism here. So what can you do about it? This may not be the answer that you actually think. And like most solutions, they're the simplest ones that actually wind up being the greatest impact. Please be gentle with yourself. What does that really mean? Well, I'd like to lead you in a meditation, just a really quick meditation to demonstrate this. So if you can just take a moment, not if you're driving a car, but hopefully you're listening somewhere where you can put your feet flat on the ground and close your eyes and start just becoming aware of your breath. Slow, deep, and complete. On your exhale, let go of your jaw. Soften your facial muscles. Maybe shrug your shoulders up, down, and back. Relax your belly. Now I want you to conjure forth that place in you that has been highly demanding of yourself. Where is that place? Where is that area that you've held a really rigid expectation? And through your breath, see if you can feel where you're holding that in your body. Maybe it's in your belly, your chest. Maybe it's in your mind. Maybe it's an idea of who you think you ought to be. And when you feel like you've got it, see it clearly. And inhale slowly. And on your exhale, see if you can't very gently and easily find some softness around it. See if you can't visualize it being not attached to you, but separate from you. Maybe you can find just a little crack through another deep breath where the edges of it can soften, where the intensity of it can decrease just a little bit. Use this next breath to see it even a little bit further outside of yourself. Knowing that though it's been connected to you, it's not yours. You've inherited it, you've taken it on, but it's not actually the truth of who you are. And with your breath right now, deep inhale, a slow and full exhale, you can really invite this to dissolve even further. See if you can't soften and relax, knowing that the more gentle that you are with yourself, the more compassionate and understanding that you are with yourself, holding yourself tenderly like a child, the more that you can access curiosity and wonder, and see if there's actually a healthier, more sustainable way to hold this aspiration of yours. How could you actually be with this that in a way that affirmed your life, supported what you really came here to do? Breathe that in. And let that infuse throughout your whole body. Let each of your cells drink that up. Find everything softening and yet becoming more integrous at the same time, more aligned with your truth. So take another few slow, deep breaths. Just noticing if it's shifted or changed in any way. Reminding yourself that this is a process. And when you're ready, just open your eyes. How'd that feel?
Really nice.
Yeah.
I was able to drift into what you were speaking, even though there's a jackhammer drilling across the street.
Drilling away your expectations.
Yes, drilling away my expectations.
So thank you for that. I hope that was helpful. So even though you might be in this really gentle state, we just want to say thank you for joining us. And if you're ready to liberate yourself from expensive, temporary, exhaustive efforts toward beauty and tap into lasting, essence-quenching radiance, please join us for this 6-week journey. You can go to unconditionalbeautyschool.com to learn more and to register. And if this doesn't resonate with you, that's okay. Maybe you know someone that it does. And either way, we are so glad that you joined us and took this time for yourself to be curious and open and let us share this time with you.
Yeah, thank you for listening and being a part of this experience with us.
Thank you for joining, and be gentle with yourself, and
you're not alone.
You're not alone. Dare to shine on. Bye-bye.
Bye.